For hundreds of years, keeping accurate time was a highly guarded, incredibly lucrative monopoly. But in less than a decade, that entire global empire was violently shattered by a tiny, vibrating piece of rock. To measure time, every clock on Earth requires two basic components: a regular, repetitive physical action, called an oscillator, and a mechanism to count those actions. For centuries, mechanical clocks fed energy from a tightly wound spring into an escapement mechanism. This system catches and releases a spinning gear, chopping energy into distinct ticks. But metal friction, temperature shifts expanding the gears, and constant gravity continuously degrade this rhythm. Fighting off these physical forces required engineering gears with microscopic tolerances. Accuracy in this era transcended physics. It was a supreme test of elite human craftsmanship. By the mid-20th century, Switzerland held an effective monopoly on this highly skilled trade, capturing 50% of the entire global watch market. Assembling hundreds of interlocking parts by hand into a movement that was perfectly balanced against gravity took years of specialized training and intensive labor. While Swiss artisans spent decades refining brass and steel, technology laboratories in Japan and the United States were exploring an invisible, electronic method of counting seconds. The Swiss watchmakers operated as if their historical dominance made them economically bulletproof, mistaking their mastery of art for the ultimate mastery of time. That assumption collapsed when engineers figured out how to replace the entire complex mechanical gear system with a single piece of quartz. Quartz has piezoelectric properties. If you pass a small electric current through a quartz crystal cut into a tuning fork shape, it will vibrate exactly 32,768 times a second. Compare that to the slow, heavy swing of a metal wheel. The quartz vibration is incredibly fast, perfectly stable, and virtually immune to changes in temperature or internal friction. You no longer needed generations of master watchmakers to cut microscopic metal components. You only needed a cheap battery, a basic circuit board, and an automated assembly line. The quartz oscillator decoupled accuracy from craftsmanship. Precision timekeeping became a cheap, easily reproducible commodity. The commercial reality hit the market in December 1969, when the Japanese company Seiko released the Astron, the world's first mass-produced electronic wristwatch. The Swiss establishment largely dismissed the technology. They viewed digital and electronic components as a cheap, temporary fad that could never replace centuries of deep-rooted heritage. This chart shows the catastrophic economic fallout in Switzerland between 1970 and 1983. Watchmaker employment plummeted from 90,000 jobs down to just 28,000, while global sales of electronic watches skyrocketed. Semiconductor and technology companies in the United States, Japan, and Hong Kong aggressively scaled up their factories, capturing nearly all of the market share that the Swiss were losing. The engineering pursuit of the perfect clock advanced science, while simultaneously destroying the traditional masters who built the original industry. To survive total extinction, the remaining Swiss manufacturers executed a massive pivot, restructuring their businesses around the Swatch Group and legacy luxury houses. They entirely abandoned the race for accuracy. Instead, mechanical watches were successfully rebranded as wearable art, expressions of deep heritage and status symbols. While a quartz watch was perfectly fine for average consumers, it still lost a few seconds every few months. And human infrastructure was beginning to require something far more rigorous. As global telecommunications and digital networks rapidly expanded, computers needed to synchronize data across oceans. The modern world required a master clock entirely immune to physical degradation. The solution was to abandon physical materials and crystals entirely. Instead, physicists built atomic clocks, massive machines that measured time using quantum mechanics. By bombarding cesium-133 atoms with microwaves, scientists could cause the outer electron to jump between distinct energy levels. This quantum transition happens at a highly specific, universally constant rate, over 9 billion cycles per second. This redefined the second. Since 1967, we no longer look to the movement of stars or pendulums to find time. We use these 9 billion quantum cycles to dictate exactly what a second is. Today, these exact atomic frequencies are broadcast from satellites in orbit. They synchronize GPS navigation systems, timestamp high-frequency global stock trades, and keep planetary data networks from crashing into each other. The democratization of precision may have dismantled an ancient artisan economy, but our absolute quantum mastery of time built the invisible heartbeat of the modern digital world.